Okay. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Dave, start with you.
We already got this handled.
Oh,
You weren't here.
thank you. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Time being 7:06. We call the Hastings City Council meeting to order. All right, let the roll reflect that we have a full council committee tonight, and we are going to start with a couple proclamations tonight, and we have a proclamation. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm so sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, welcome, and thank you for being here. Tonight, we have a proclamation for Darts Appreciation Day, and we have with us a representative from Darts and Council. We will first start our proclamation with Councilmember House.
Thank you, Your Honor. Whereas since 1974, Darts has served older adults, their families, and caregivers with the mission of creating connections that enrich aging and empowering independence, and
whereas in 2024, Darts is celebrating its 50th anniversary of providing services for older adults across the Southeast Metro, including Hastings. These services include housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving resources, resource connections, fulfilling volunteer opportunities, and transportation, and
whereas the first Darts bus rides were provided in 1974, transporting older residents to area community education classes, and the Community Loop Bus has operated since 2016. And Dart's ongoing commitment to collaboration, excellence, inclusion, responsibility, and service in its communities has helped ensure a 99% client satisfaction rate, and
Whereas volunteer dedication has allowed Dart's Learning Buddies and Pen Pal programs to reach more than 80,000 students, connecting older adult volunteers with local classrooms for intergenerational learning experiences, and
whereas Darts is able to fulfill its mission thanks to generous ongoing community support and from area champion partners at Flint Hills Resources, Excel Energy, and United Way of Hastings, and
Whereas the city of Hastings celebrates the 50th anniversary of Darts and all the services it has long provided to our aging residents.
Now therefore, I, Mary Fassbender, Mayor of the City of Hastings, do hereby proclaim Monday, June 3rd, 2024 as Darts Appreciation Day in the City of Hastings.
There we go. Wanted to make sure I got the one that was on. What an honor. Thank you so much for celebrating Dart's 50th with us. There's not many people who get to make it to that milestone, and to be able to have served local older adults and caregivers in that time has just been such a privilege for us. You know, our founder and first president was a Hastings native. His name is Dick Graham. He learned of some older adults who wanted to take free classes at the community college but didn't have a way to get there. And he thought, well, we can rustle up a couple of buses and make this happen, and that's exactly what he did. He found 2 old airport limos and started giving rides to and from these classes. And during those rides, learned of other needs that older adults had. So DARTS grew from there. We grew in the services we offer. We grew in the geography that we cover. And it's just incredible to have been here for 50. We are looking forward to the next 50. And we'll do that with your support. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. And tonight, we also have a proclamation for LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. And we will start this proclamation with Councilmember Pemble.
Whereas we affirm our common beliefs, aspirations, and commitments to ensure that the city of Hastings is a safe and caring community for all persons, and
Whereas the City of Hastings is committed to fostering acceptance of all its residents and preventing discrimination, social stigma, and harassment based on sexual orientation or gender identity, and
Whereas the City Council has adopted a set of strategic priorities that include ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion in city processes and operations, and helping to make Hastings a welcoming community for all, and
Whereas the City of Hastings recognizes the importance of building protective factors for LGBTQIA+ youth in our community, and
Whereas the City of Hastings appreciates the work done by IDEA Hastings and by Thrive to advocate for diversity and equity during this month and throughout the year, and
Whereas we recognize that there is still more work to be done to ensure our LGBTQIA+ family members, friends, and neighbors are treated equitably and with dignity, and
Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Mary Fassbender, and the Hastings City Council hereby declare the month of June 2024 as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month in the City of Hastings. Thank you. Thank you, Council. Council members, are there any corrections to the May 20th meeting? Okay. Comments from the audience at this time? I will hear comments from the audience or by Zoom. No one on Zoom? No one in the audience. All right. Council members, are there any items to be considered? All right. Tonight, we have a consent agenda. Council, I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda. Councilmember Fox and Councilmember Pemble. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, council, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion, state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Tonight, under community development, we have a Mint Development, the southwest corner of Pleasant Drive and South Frontage Road. And for this item, we have an introduction by Community Development Director John Hinsman. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, we have before you a couple of actions related to a piece of property that Hedra owns at the southwest corner of South Frontage Road and Pleasant Drive. First of which is a comprehensive plan amendment, which would change the land use designation in our comprehensive plan map from residential, medium residential to commercial. And then the other would be a rezoning of the same property. This would be a second reading, in which we would rezone the property from R1, which is low-density residential, to C4, which is community regional commerce. So that is the actions that we have before you tonight on this. This is relating to development potential in the future for the site. As you know, Hedra entered into a purchase and development agreement with Mint Development to develop a site here for a national retailer. The terms of that agreement state that the land use applications would need to be completed by the end of this year. This is the first step of doing so. The actions tonight would change the land use for this property to accommodate commercial development and to accommodate the development that Mr. Bars is planning as Mint Development here. What it does not cover tonight, and which would come in the future, would be the actual development plans. There would be a platting of the property as well as a site plan process to this as well. So that would come in the future on this. We did have our Planning Commission review this and hold a public hearing on May 13th. During the public hearing, we did not have anyone who came for or against the item to speak to it. We have not heard any comment from anyone for this item up to this date here. The vote by the commission was 5-1 to recommend approval of the rezoning and the comprehensive plan amendment. So the actions we're asking for you tonight are to approve the ordinance amendment for the rezoning and the comprehensive plan amendment. I will note that on the rezoning, there is a requirement that 5 of 7 council members be in support for that to be affirmative. So I can stand for any questions.
Thank you,
Thanks.
John. Council discussion? Councilmember Verichov.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, John, for bringing this before the council. One of the things that caught my eye when I was reviewing this packet is that there was one dissenting vote from the Planning Commission, and I talked a little bit about that with Dan, but I was hoping that you could just talk a little bit about how that meeting went with this council and perhaps what the concerns were from that commissioner, and if there's anything on your radar as we move forward with this project and anything that you want to make sure that we are aware of. I hear what you're saying in terms of there not being public engagement necessarily around this right now, but I think that we all can agree and we all know that that doesn't always happen when we would like and often comes at a later stage. And so could you just talk a little bit about what that conversation was like in commission?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, at the Planning Commission, there was some discussion about the change of the land use from a residential designation to a commercial designation, and it being directly adjacent to existing residential. So I believe that was the reason for the commissioner's dissent on that, was he was not comfortable in rezoning property that was zoned commercial, that it was next to existing residential.
Thank you, Councilmember Verichov. Councilmember Fox?
Your Honor, prior to my comment, can I make a point of order? Can we vote, or maybe this is for our counselor, can we vote on these together, or do we have to separate them?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you both. I just wanted to make a comment as Councilmember Pemble and I sit on HEDRA. One of the discussions that keeps popping up for us in our meetings is that we hope that a commercial development will encourage and inspire other commercial developments in this area and kind of help commercial developers realize that even just one block off of Highway 55 isn't too far, right? So we're really eager as, well, I'll speak for myself, excuse me, as commissioners on HEDRA, or council members who are commissioners, to see this move forward as is, yeah, if that helps. I don't know.
Thank you, Councilmember Fox. Any other discussion? Councilmember Fox? Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment and the zoning amendment.
Thank you, Councilmember Fox. A second with Councilmember Verichov.
Thank you.
And a new discussion, council. Okay, all those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Thank you, John. We are also going to have a second reading to adopt the ordinance to amend the city code chapters 91 and 155 for chickens, ducks, and quails. And John, you may continue.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. This is a second reading tonight for the ordinance amendment that the mayor pointed out. The major point of this amendment is to allow the keeping of up to 6 chickens. Right now, you can have 4 chickens. It would allow the keeping of ducks, which is not allowed presently, but would allow up to 3 ducks, and also allow for the keeping of up to 10 quail, which are not allowed presently. So with the quail, you could have quail with chickens or ducks. With chickens and ducks, there would be a choice that would need to be made that you could either have the 6 chickens or you could have the 3 ducks. That makes sense. So we did have our planning commission review this on May 13th. May 13th. They recommended approval of this on a 7-0 vote. We did not have anyone come forward to speak for or against it at the meeting. Similarly, we have not had any comment from the public related to this ordinance amendment prior to tonight. So we're bringing forward that recommendation. Going back a little bit further, the Planning Committee of Council met on April 8th to consider this request. The request was made on behalf of a resident looking for a change within the ordinance. Asked the Planning Commission to review it, and the review is coming forward to you tonight as the recommendation for change. So this approval requires a simple majority, and I can stand for any questions.
Great, thank you, John. Councilmember Layfield?
Hey, John, question for you. So, did you say, okay, so 1, 2, and 3, but the keeping of quails, they have to be separate from the chickens, right? So if you're
Right.
going to keep quails, you can keep up to 10 whether you have chickens and ducks or not.
Right.
But we do have to follow what I saw on, like, the third page, that they do need their own house.
They do, yeah. The quails are much smaller,
Much
so it's more like a bird house almost
Okay.
than a larger hutch you'd have, a larger facility you'd have for ducks or chickens.
Okay. And then one thing that I might as well bring up now is, I'm all in favor of this. I actually would like to see that we do 6 total chickens and/or ducks. There's a lot of information out there. I went down a bit of a duck hole today, one might say, to find out how this works. And because ducks nest on the ground and chickens nest in a coop, whatever, in a nest, whatever, I don't see any reason why we couldn't just amend this to say up to 6 ducks and/or chickens, or any combination thereof, and then 10 quail. So I would like to make a motion to approve this zone amendment, keeping of chickens in residential areas. However, to state items 1 and 2 combined for a total of 6 ducks and/or chickens. And then item number 2 would be, and the keeping of up to 10 quail.
I would second with a question.
Sure, Councilmember Fox?
I agree. I think that will streamline some process moving forward. And my question is about the staff's comment that there are little issues that we've had with the keeping of hens. Do we know, is this a Dan question maybe, how many issues that we've seen in the community since approving?
Yeah. We've had 9 permits that have come forward since the approvals were granted in '21. I think we've had 9 complaints that have come in here. From talking to our code enforcement individual, the vast majority of those have been from, hey, this person does not have a chicken license. So it wasn't necessarily nuisance related, but they don't have a license. From a nuisance standpoint, I'm aware of an escaped chicken at one time, but that's really, I think, the extent of what I've heard from a complaint of operation.
Okay, that's very helpful. I think that highlights how few the keeping of fowl has gone afoul.
Okay,
You had to do it.
thank you, Councilmember Fox. Councilmember Pemble?
John, the question I had, and maybe it's not in the information here piece, but are we doing mixed breed, or not mixed breed, but mixed sex for the quail? And what are we doing on the ducks? Do we have a drake and hens combined, or not? Is this,
Councilmember, on the ducks, no drakes, female only on that, same with the chickens themselves. With the quails, trying to remember off the top of my head if that was, we made that differentiation. I remember from reading through the information that quails were not, the effects and the nuisance of quails, sound, so forth, they don't make, they don't crow. Right, so I don't recall off the top of my head here if there is a provision on that.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Council. We do have a first and a second. Are we,
that's fine. Thanks, John.
Yep.
okay? Thank you, Councilmember Pemble. First and second, all those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Thanks,
Thank you.
John. Tonight, under administration, we have our monthly PFAS update, and for this, we have an introduction by City Administrator Dan Waticha.
Thank you. Just before this meeting, we had our budget workshop, and PFAS, or the expenses related to PFAS treatment, were certainly a big part of that discussion, so I could easily see this conversation going a number of different directions. But really, in terms of a monthly update, and what I wrote last week for the memo, although it says today's date, it's today's meeting, really the focus is much more on some of the finances around the PFAS treatment, particularly looking back over the last month and where we are right at this instant. It's not too prospective about going forward to the future, and really the focus in here is on finances, but I can certainly take any topics of questions, and our Public Works Director's here today too. The main thing that happened in the past month was May 20th, the legislation, or the legislative session ended without a bonding bill, which was definitely disappointing. I think we have a good project and continue to have a good project. We will be back next year, I expect. But it puts us in the position, which we discussed at the workshop. We'll have a follow-up workshop in a couple of weeks about needing to weigh options about going forward with this at ratepayers' expense, which is somewhere in the range of 35 to 40% increase for the first phase, and recognize future phases will be additional water bill increases. Or potentially, do we delay the project? Instead of starting this summer, do we hold off till spring and hope that in the meantime there might be some better ideas at some of the funding pieces that might come into play before then? And a couple of those pieces that I would note, we did apply a few weeks ago for congressionally directed spending, which we had positive comments from staff with both Senator Klobuchar and Congresswoman Craig. But those at this point are positive comments. So we know we've got an important project, expect it would be well received, but a funding decision could be sometime this summer or into October. Again, if we wait on our PFAS project, we might have a better feel for where that funding is next spring. We also have some applications or some submittals to the state. The state has a drinking water revolving fund that is an important process. When we talk to legislators, they ask if we're on the list, and so it's important to be on the project priority list. We did submit last year. Understand that there were some errors at the state in its scoring and review of it, which we did not learn of until, I believe, January. And at that point, their recommendation was, well, just reapply. It's getting it on the list. It wasn't specific for funding at that time, so although disappointing, it makes sense. We did submit all three phases for consideration. We submitted them as three separate projects strategically, and it will be later this summer into fall that we see how those rank against any of the other projects submitted statewide. But preliminarily, we think that we should score very highly. The other part of that is the program has a intended use plan, and that application will be going in this week or first part of next week. The deadline's coming up right here early June. But that isn't just being on the list, but it's saying, here's a project that is ready to proceed. It doesn't mean necessarily break ground, but ready to proceed. So on that one, we're submitting both the first and second phase as much more ripe and ready to move forward in the next year, meaning 25 into 26. And the key part to that is depending on scoring, which we'll learn this fall, September, October, depending on scoring, we could be eligible or receiving an emerging contaminants grant, presently capped at $3 million for each of those phases. So potentially $3 million for phase one and $3 million for phase two. Doesn't get the project done, but it helps inch it a little bit further along. The other piece that I think just as reality, and we had some good discussion, introductory discussion at the workshop this evening, is we're going to have to look at raising water rates. Even though it might be phased in and doing just the first phase, that's still a $20 million project. And that doesn't happen without coming up with $20 million. We're not getting it at this point from the state, and really can't put off the project too long. I think we could wait till spring to see how some pieces might come into play. Hopefully, we do get some assistance, but I think as we keep going forward, closer in the budget, we'll need to be looking at raising water rates for January 1st. With that, I can take questions on the finances. I can take some questions on PFAS or treatments in general, other thoughts, but really just a quick update. Here's where we're at on the financial side at this moment. Ask me again next week, the story will be a little different, but
Great.
Pretty much where we're at.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Councilmember Lightfoot.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Dan, for the update. So I've been thinking about this for a while, especially since last night when a number of us met with residents. I wanted to start by saying that I personally, as a council member, feel that a residential neighborhood is not the appropriate location for a public utility of this nature and this size. I have concerns not only about public safety, about aesthetics, as well as property values, not just in the area, but within the city of Hastings. And quite honestly, just because the city can do this in a community park certainly does not mean that we should, okay? That being said, I'd like to publicly ask for the commitment of the city of Hastings, the staff, the city council, and the mayor to do our due diligence as we move forward to look at all possible water treatment plant sites, as well as the type and size of the facility, understanding that there is more to this project than just cost and logistics. To show our commitment to our community, I would like to call for a 90-day moratorium or pause so that staff can research all other options and costs and present that to council. And I feel like I've sort of seen that already earlier tonight from Public Works and Ryan Stemsky in regards to a proposed revised schedule for Phase 1. They've already slowed that down, and I can't quote Ryan's words directly, but I know it was for the purpose of taking a beat, right? Take a pause, make sure they're doing, I hope that's part of it, to make sure that they're making the right decisions for the community. And I just really feel that, I don't know if a formal moratorium is necessary or if just taking this pause to make sure that I know to the residents, it felt all very rushed, like, here it is, here it is, here it is. And there were obvious concerns, and that park or any park, I just need to go publicly on record that I don't believe that that's how our public park system was founded. I don't think that was the intention, and I don't think that was the plan. So, thank you, Your Honor, for letting me speak.
Thank you, Councilmember Lightfoot. Any other comments, council? Councilmember, whoops. Okay. No other comments. Thank you, Dan. Under administration as well, we have a residential solid waste and recycling contract, and you may continue, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, we have an organized collection for our residential solid waste and recycling. We have been under contract with Tennessee Sanitation since 2013 and had gone through the appropriate bidding process about 6 years ago, which included the ability for several 3-year extensions. And really, we're at the point of deciding, do we want to do another 3-year extension through, let me see if I can get the dates here, through, I don't see the date, but it should be through December 2027. And the point being, if we did not want to do a extension, it takes time to go through a process, and we would really need to start that now. That would be rushed. That said, Utilities Committee met about a month ago, April 29th, and they recommended an extension. They specifically noted a few items. One, Tennessee Sanitation being a local company and very involved in the community. having exceptional customer service, and then also noted that our rates here in 2024 are actually lower than the proposals that we had from other companies 6 years ago. So a matter of just, hey, we've got a great company at a great price. Let's keep up a good thing. And the recommendation is to exercise that 3-year extension. But with that, I can take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Council questions? Councilmember Pemble?
I would highly recommend, having gone through several waste operations in the decades that I've been in this community, I am wholeheartedly supportive of the tennis operation and their community commitment and response when residents have a question. I would move that we go for another 3-year extension on what we've had laid out, and that we've had 2 or 3 extensions.
2.
2. I move forward the 3rd
I'll second
extension.
Thank you, Councilmember Pemble. Councilmember Liefeld?
Thank you, Your Honor. To Dan's point during that brief presentation, so Councilmember Lawrence, myself, and Councilmember Verchoff, it was an interesting conversation because it's not too often that the best price came with the best service. So we were very happy. We did ask questions about, are we getting complaints? That's always important to us. So for us, it was a real easy conversation to move forward with this. And back to what Dan had said regarding what tennis, how active they are in our community as well. So it was a pleasure, I think, for 2 new council members to sit in on a decision like that, because it was like, oh, yeah, it was an easy one, so. Yeah. And I did second that as well, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any additional, Councilmember Fox?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to echo one more time, tennis is incredibly generous in our community, and we have a lot of wonderful community assets and resources that happen because they show up and they take care of us, including many events with the Downtown Business Association. So I just wanted to say that as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Fox and Councilmember Verchoff.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo the sentiments of my fellow council members up here on the dais, and I do agree with Councilmember Liefeld. And interestingly enough, even though we had joked and said that this would probably be one of our quickest meetings, I think we actually ended up sitting around for 30 or 45 minutes talking and singing the praises of Tennis Sanitation Company. But I just wanted to raise another point here, that since there's such goodwill and all of us are sharing these praises and sharing all the good work that this company does within our community. I know that we have a lot of vendors and a lot of different companies that the city works with, and so if there's folks that are out there watching online or tomorrow or something like that, we would encourage you to come forward and do some of that continued good community service work, be an active participant with our Downtown Business Association, with wonderful customer service, and for me personally, with my beautiful pink garbage can that I know brings awareness to breast cancer awareness every October. So yes, I support this fully, and I'm quite grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Verchoff. All right, first and second motion. All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Aye opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And that motion prevails. Thank you, Dan. Council, any announcements from you? Councilmember Liefeld.
I'm going to guess that this is on the mayor's radar. However, happy Pride to all my fellow family. Saturday, June 8th, this Saturday, IDEA will be holding their, what year? What annual? Sixth. Is it the 6th annual? Pride event in Hastings, which is so exciting for me. I remember joking 8 years ago when I was going to run, and I had joked that I was going to have pride-colored signs and everything, and people thought maybe this community wasn't ready for that, and I think they were wrong. This community is ready for that, and I'm so proud to be part of it. But this Saturday, at 11 o'clock, starting at Roadside, my apologies, Kennedy Elementary School in the parking lot, the parade will start there, go down 10th Street to Tyler, north on Tyler, all the way down to 2nd Street, ending at Levy Park. If you can walk, want to walk, rollerblade, bike, please come out and join us. It is all all kinds of weather. And just to let you know, all are welcome. And it will have live entertainment, vendors, food trucks, face painting, caricatures, bounce house, an obstacle course, and more. Bring your kids, bring your grandparents, come on down. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Leif. All right, I will add to those announcements, Coffee with a Cop is Tuesday, June 4th from 10 to noon at Colborne's Caribou Coffee. Join the police and ask questions, voice concerns, and get to know one another. Also on Tuesday, June 4th, join us for a summer kickoff to our 2024 Levy Park events. Free entertainment, interactive motorized race course, bouncy houses, climbing wall, caricature artists, balloon artists, and more. All ages are welcome, and this is a free event. Please keep looking at the weather, though, because there's a possibility that it might be raining. So watch for rain, delays, or cancellations. Summer rec programs at Levy Park. Thursday, June 6th, Music in the Park with the Sidekicks, which is a tribute to the 80s, supported by Ruth and George Doffing Charitable Fund. Thursday, June 13th, Music in the Park with Allegations, tribute to the blues, supported by Ruth and George Doffing Charitable Fund. Friday, June 14th, Movies in the Park with Elemental, sponsored by Ardent Mills. Please bring a non-perishable food item for donation. Saturday, June 15th, is Bike with a Ranger on a guided tour of the 10-mile loop. Pre-registration required for the free event. The city's Park and Rec and police departments are partnering with Hastings Prescott Art Council to serve up fun for the youth in Hastings. The Art, Rec, and Police programs will offer free activities, treats, and giveaways this summer. The first event is Wednesday, June 12th, from 1 to 2 at Levy Park, with straw weaving, a DJ, and contests. Recommended for elementary and middle schoolers, supported by SC Toys, Country Financial, Hastings Lion Club, Hastings Family Service, and Community Ed. Makers Way Alley Market will be at Levy Park on Thursday, June 13th. Support area makers and artisans with our historical downtown and riverfront park by shopping at the markets. We have a birthday. Happy birthday last week to Councilmember Lawrence. We're not going to ask your age. Meetings coming forward. Thursday, June 6th, 6 p.m. is Hedra, and that is a closed-door session. Monday, June 10th, 7 p.m. is Parks and Recreation Committee, 7 p.m. Planning Commission. Wednesday, June 12th, 6 p.m. Arts and Culture Commission. Thursday, June 13th, 6 p.m. is Hedra, and Monday, June 17th is a City Council meeting. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Pemble. Councilmember Verichoff.
Hi, I'm so sorry, Mayor. May I please just add one more thing to your events? I'm
Of
so
course.
sorry. I missed it a moment ago, and I just know that we have lots and lots of animal lovers and supporters of Animal Arc here in Hastings, and they are having their annual 3K walk, which is also this Saturday, so you could start off your morning, Councilmember Liefeld, at Animal Arc, and then make your way over to Pride. Their fundraising goal is $40,000. I know that that is something that makes our community incredibly unique, as they are a no-kill shelter, and so I would just encourage people to please check that out as well. Their website is animalarcmn.org, and they are a nonprofit here in town. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry. And now I need, and a second by Councilmember Lawrence. All those in favor of the motion state by saying aye. Aye. Aye opposed to that motion state by saying nay. And we are adjourned.